The most important thing on a race bike, number one, would have to be your tires. That's what's in contact with the pavement. The second thing would be your suspension. Probably third B would be running an excellent race line and having good race strategy. Hi, I'm Allan Campbell with Whoopi's Race School, and I'm also the Dunlop race tire rep for Texas. And I wanted to talk about street tires on the racetrack. Basically, we have in level 1 and level 2, the intermediate and the beginning level, most riders are on street tires. So what we like to do for street tires on the track is lower the pressure down a little bit to between 30 and 32 pounds cold. That's what we recommend for the track, depending on the size bike. And it's very important to have newer or new rubber on the track. We want a lot of grip. It's also important to have new or newer rubber on the street. But on the track, we like your tires to at least be somewhere, at least 50% life left in them. On the track, tires get a lot hotter. We're either on the gas, on the brakes, or we're turning. So it puts a lot more heat into the tires. As far as tire pressure on the track and handling of the bike, what I see is a lot of guys will drop their pressure down too low. They feel that that's putting more heat in their tires. I recommend the 30 to 32 psi's cold because that allows good amount of heat into the tire, but not too much. Put too much heat into the tire on the track, tire after a few laps gets hot and greasy. Also, when you have the pressure too low, the bike isn't handling as good. We want to be able to put the bike right where we want it. You see that turn ahead? We want to clip that apex. We want that bike to go right where we tell it to go without too much effort. We want to finesse the bike, not have to manhandle it. So that's why too low a pressure isn't good. One thing that's good to do a lot of times, I know everybody likes to be in the shade, but especially towards the winter and the cooler months, it's good to park your bike in the sun in between sessions. The sun actually heats up the tires fairly well. When it's time to go out on the track, your tires are already warm instead of going out on cold tires. And that's another thing that's very important, is going out on the track, we want to give the bike a couple of laps so that the tires can warm up. Some guys do to start really getting into the track is they'll buy a set of tire warmers. And they'll put the tire warmers on there. Even though they have street tires, they'll put the tire warmers on for 5 or 10 minutes. I don't recommend longer than that, just to get a little bit of heat in there so when they go out on the track it's a little safer and they don't have to take the time to let their tires heat up. So let's talk about race tires. Guys come and do track days, they start getting real fast, bump up to intermediate level, start riding advanced level, we see some racers in there. They're on race tires, and that's when you want to start thinking about, trying out a set of race tires. I'm the Dunlop distributor, so I stock the Dunlop race tires. But all race tires, the big 4 manufacturers, race tires on the track, once you start going fast, are mandatory. They're all better than street tires. And what I do with my customers is I work with them from bike setup to tire pressures to running the race line, race strategy, where's the best places to pass on the track. And speaking of tire pressure, that's critical. The weather, the time of year, the track, the bike you ride, the way you ride, we dial in the tire pressure a little bit like dialing in the suspension. We dial in the suspension for the type of rider, the track, the weight of the rider, Some riders ride the front tire a little bit more, putting more weight on the front of the tire. So we set up the bike a little bit different for that, opposed to a guy that rides further back on the seat, that's weighting the rear tire more. So that's what's so important, is whatever brand of tire that you run, you want to work closely with your tire guy so he can guide you with your bike setup, your suspension, your tire pressure, so your tires are running at the optimal temperature. That's critical. There's a lot of crashes actually that happen from guys being sloppy, not running the right tire pressure, and that can cause your tires to run either too hot or too cold. Cold tires are very slippery, very easy to crash on cold tires. Of course, I would like everybody to come and try my tires, the Dunlops. And I like to keep a record of my racers, what type of suspension they're running, what settings they're running. And that way, what's working for him at one track, when we go back to that track, we know what worked and what didn't work. Mm-hmm. And but you know, the tracks are always changing. The track will actually change throughout a weekend. More rubber going down. Typically at the beginning of the weekend, the track is a little green. So when the track is green, we run a little bit softer setup on the suspension. As the track comes in, we start running a little tighter setup. Guys start going faster. That's another thing that changes. The faster you go, we have to keep readjusting the suspension for the speed that you're going. You know, there's like a 2-second window there where your bike works excellent on aftermarket racing suspension. The most important thing on a race bike, number one, would have to be your tires. That's what's in contact with the pavement. The second thing would be your suspension. Probably third B would be running an excellent race line and having good race strategy.